In Rulindo district of the northern province, the parents of a 2.5-year-old girl who was sexually abused by a 45-year-old neighbor are still in shock and sadness 3 weeks after the incident, even though the culprit was immediately taken into custody. I found him sitting with her on his lap and asked who had taken the children there, and they said it was Gateje. So I called them here home, and there was a chair in front of the door. He was accustomed to visiting us, sitting down and playing with the kids, so I thought nothing of it and went into the house to cook. Soon after, I heard her cry and I thought she was just messing around with her older sister. But I decided to go and check, and when I came out, her shorts had been lowered down to her knees and were dripping wet. Other local residents came and helped me restrain him, and then local leaders arrived and we took the child to hospital. When I arrived, she was naked and chaos reigned. Regardless, we were still able to take the child to hospital immediately. Disturbing as this might be to hear, it happens far more often than most people realize, and now more than ever, children are at risk of abuse, with daycare centers and other regular schools still closed because of COVID-19. There is also the problem of excessive punishments towards young children when they do wrong in the eyes of their parents and guardians, as well as child labor to reckon with. At this sugarcane plantation in the Zove marshland of Nyarugenge district, as you head towards Rulindo, we found children working alongside adults or caring for their little sisters and brothers right there in the midst of all the work, and they were promptly told to hide as soon as our camera crew became visible. They do a lot of work here and spend the whole day without eating anything, right here in the marshland, which is wrong. We keep chasing them away, but they return. They lay the babies right here in the sugar canes. Look at this one alone, with just another small child. Anything could pop out of the sugar canes and bite them. Children growing up in these conditions suffer from stunted growth, face numerous problems and do not get a proper upbringing. Imagine the life of a child like this that begins among these sugar canes. This is wrong. Those managing the marshland should ensure that only adults with proper ID cards are allowed to come here. Women with babies should leave them at home with their siblings. It is better than bringing them here in the sugar canes. A snake could emerge and bite the baby. Local officials say they are doing all they can to urge parents to better care for their children. Between 2 and 3 years old was recently assaulted, and the fact that a child that young was able to go to a neighbor's house in the night shows negligence on the part of the parents. As parents, we are supposed to watch our children and ensure that they do not go out looking for those sort of jobs that include hard labor trying to earn money. The Rwanda Investigation Bureau has noted that in February this year, before the COVID-19 pandemic reached the country, 161 sexual assault cases on minors were reported, and another 131 reported in March and April after the total lockdown came into effect. These sorts of crimes include those sexual in nature, physical violence, property damage, and emotional abuse. With so many kids at home all the time, we see cases of excessive punishment towards children and hard labor. There is also the problem of children being abused within families and people deciding to reconcile and sweep it under the rug. The fact is, the victim remains the child and they continue to suffer. People should stop this practice of pretending nothing happened and deciding to reconcile, and instead provide information to the relevant authorities. They should not hide this sort of thing. The law demands that you provide the information, and if you withhold it, you are punished as well. All schools in Rwanda have now remained closed for more than 5 months because of the pandemic, and calls have continued to be made for more efforts to ensure that children are not exploited as they wait to return to school.